Capcom has been on a roll lately after successfully remaking previous installments of their beloved series, Resident Evil. After their most recent remake of Resident Evil 4, I couldn't help but think that this remake wasn't completely necessary. The remake is amazing in all areas, but the original game is still so iconic, and still holds up to this day, especially with it being ported over to every console known to man. The remake does mostly stay faithful to its OG counterpart, which is a hell of a lot more than I can say for their previous remake of Resident Evil 3. Of course, being a remake, it does improve on certain aspects that the original couldn't do at the time, like the ability to move while aiming, stealth attacks with knives, parrying, and a whole lot more. But do all of these improvements actually make the remake better than the original Resident Evil 4? Not to discredit Capcom's amazing work with the remake of 4, a huge leap from how they disappointed so many with the remake of Resident Evil 3. There are people in the community that still prefer the OG to the remake, and to me, that says a whole lot. So I got to thinking, what Resident Evil game should Capcom remake next that actually needs that beautiful RE engine paint job? Of course, a majority, if not all fans, will agree that Code Veronica should be the next game to be remade. However, I would have to disagree. Now hear me out, I do think Code Veronica does deserve a remake, especially over 4, but I don't think it needs it the most. I believe there is a Resident Evil game that is truly in desperate need of a complete makeover. I'm talking about one of, if not the worst Resident Evil game of all time.
Resident Evil Survivor.
A title that's often overshadowed by its more famous Resident Evil siblings. Okay, maybe calling Survivor the worst RE game is a bit of an exaggeration, but given there is an Angry Video Game Nerd episode about it, speaks for itself.
The phone hang up? How about the f***ing game turn off?
Yeah, sure, there are other half-assed RE games like Umbrella Corps or REverse that are much worse, but to me, I don't even consider those to be true Resident Evil games. We're just gonna stick to the mainline games, not any spin-offs. Well, I guess Survivor is a spin-off, but it also ties to the main games, sort of. This is confusing. Anyways, I think this title deserves to be remade more than any other RE game. Of course, this is just my opinion, and I'm sure I will have people disagree, which is fine. But for me, personally, I have a deeper connection to this game than most people would have. Believe it or not, this was the first Resident Evil game that I could beat on my own. At the time I had the game, I was only about 10 years old, obviously way too young to be playing anything of this nature. It took me a few tries, but I eventually got to the end, defeated the tyrant, got on the helicopter, flew away into the sunrise like any other Resident Evil game, and rolled credits. It was a big accomplishment for my young, dumb self. I guess that says how easy the game is compared to all the others. Looking back at the game now, boy, this shit is hard to look at. I know that older Resident Evil titles don't look the best nowadays, but given that this game was released after Code Veronica, man, this is rough. Why is he walking in place, bro? Look at him. Why is he walking in place? What the f***? There is so much more in this game that could be changed or updated to look and feel so much better. First off, let's talk about the controls. Like the original Resident Evil games, this one also has tank controls. But man, it feels so sluggish here. For some reason, tank controls in first person just feels so much worse. It shouldn't take 10 seconds to look from left to right. Having updated controls would be so nice. Also, actually being able to see your gun, aim down sights, and see reload animations would be dope. This was Capcom's first entry into the franchise that was completely first person. Given that, maybe they could get inspiration from another Resident Evil that was in first person. Resident Evil 7. Perhaps instead of throwing all of these guns and enemies in your face, they pull back a bit and focus more on the horror aspect. I mean, do we really need infinite ammo from the jump? We all know how well horror can be presented in first person. I mean, just imagine this game in VR. At the start of the game, we are shown with a text on screen. My only hope is this gun. Perhaps we only have a handgun for a majority of the game, and ammo is really scarce, adding to the survival horror elements like the original RE games did. A key part of the story here is that our character has lost his memory and he doesn't know who or where he is. He even states that he has a headache. This could be expanded on or implemented in a gameplay mechanic, sort of like how Fallout does when your head is crippled. Of course, that could get old and annoy the player really quick, so maybe just have that at the start of the game and it eventually stops, or just not have it happen as frequently. As the story progresses, you come to find out that you are apparently a murderer named Vincent.
Vincent, you are a murderer. A murderer!
This alone sets quite a different tone to the game compared to other RE titles. Are we playing as the villain here? You mean to tell me we're not some super cop hero trying to save the day? We're just some regular, ordinary guy who is stuck on an island with these monsters? Later on in the story, you run into two kids, Lily and Lot, who are trying to escape the island. Coming to terms with all the bad you have done, you decide to no longer go that path and go above and beyond to help save these kids and get off this damn island.
I may have been a bad person, but that was before. That's not who I am now. I will save these 2 kids. I swear it.
At this point, the game itself feels like a gauntlet of lickers, hunters, and tyrants. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first Resident Evil game to feature both lickers and hunters in the same game. Also, side note, most of the story here is told through files, so if you don't read them, then you're missing out on a lot. Which is unfortunate because I know a lot of people don't like reading files in games. The story being told in the files is actually pretty wild, especially once you get closer to the end, which by the way, won't take very long. Yeah, this game is crazy short. It turns out, in order for Umbrella to mass produce these tyrants on Sheena Island, they need to extract what is called beta-hetero-non-serotonin.
That's a mouthful.
This material can only be extracted by cutting into a child's skull while they are alive, with no anesthesia. Yeah, this is fucked. This backstory, or lore if you will, on the island is super dark and messed up. Experimenting on innocent kids just to mass produce bioweapons. Remaking this game, Capcom could deliver and expand on a really dark and twisted story here. Thankfully, before finding out all this evil stuff that Vincent was up to, Lot decides to finally drop this massive bombshell on us.
You're the detective. Your name is Ark Thompson.
What? Really? I'm not Vincent? So then I'm Ark and not Vincent.
Turns out you weren't Vincent all along. You are a spy named Ark Thompson, sent to investigate the island by none other than Leon S. fucking Kennedy. Are you kidding me?
That's right. At the request of my friend Leon S. Kennedy, I came here to investigate. Oh, yes.
I remember first hearing Ark say these words and my jaw hit the damn floor. Oh shit, this dude knows our boy Leon from Resident Evil 2? Let's fucking go. Of course, looking back now, it's obvious that they just threw this in just so that they could tie this to the main games and make Survivor feel important. But hey, this could be another opportunity to expand on how Leon and Ark know each other. Leon being an agent and Ark being a spy, could they have worked together at some point? I think it would be cool to have a cutscene in the game where Leon makes a cameo appearance and is trying to establish communication with Ark to check up on him since it's been hours with no contact. Or what if after not being able to reach Ark, Leon decides to check on him? After all, Ark is stuck on the island, and instead of conveniently finding a second chopper to escape, it's Leon who comes and gets him. I mean, would Leon really send a fellow colleague on a remote island and have them go in dark and not expect the worst? I'm sure there would be some type of contingency or rescue plan, right? So say after so long without any updates, Leon decides to go see what the hell is up, and by the time he arrives at the helipad, Ark is up against the mutated Hypno Tyrant at the end of the game, and is just about at a loss. Leon comes in just in time to save the day, and we get a badass team-up finale. Leon and Ark, side by side, finally taking out the final boss. I don't know, maybe I'm just fanboying over this game, but I feel like there are a lot of missed opportunities here that could be capitalized on and further expanded on if this game was properly remade. Given that Survivor was clearly rushed out the door so that fans would have it before too many got their hands on the latest PS2 console, there is so much here in this short spin-off side game that could be unpacked if you actually look deep enough. Resident Evil Survivor is definitely the most underrated RE game out there, and I feel like it is most deserving of a remake. Capcom is known for their best work when they take their time on things and take in the fans' feedback. So yeah, that's basically it for my take on why Resident Evil Survivor should be remade. Like I said, it's a very underrated game. It has the potential to be a greater game than what it was. Let me know down below, what Resident Evil game do you think should be remade? I know there are recent rumors of Resident Evil 0 being remade, and I might make a video next talking about that, so stay tuned for that. And if you're into The Last of Us, I actually made a couple videos on my channel talking about the cheaters in that game. So if you're into that, hey, click my channel, watch those videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.